If I show you this scene, you probably know which is the movie I'm talking about. For those who don't know, this is from The Illusionist, one of the most iconic films from 2006. It was and still is very popular, but something that most people don't know is that most of the illusions that we can see in that movie are actually based on real pieces of magic history. So in this video, as an experienced magician, I'll be reacting to the Hollywood version of the legendary marvelous orange tree illusion and comparing it to its real and original version. So if it sounds good to you, sit down, relax, and let's get into it. Okay, now we are all set, but before we start, you're probably wondering why this illusion is so legendary. In order to understand that, we first need to take a look at its creator, who is the one and only Robert-Houdin, also known as the father of modern magic. He was the first magician performing and promoting magic as an elegant, high-class, scientific-based art form. Basically, he took magic from the streets and brought it to the big theaters of that time. Fun fact is that he is the one responsible of the stereotypical image we have of a magician in a tuxedo. His influence was so strong at that time that the most popular and famous magician of all time took his artistic name from him. Do you know who I'm talking about? Yes, you guessed it, it's Eric Wise, better known as Harry Houdini. So now that we have the context, let's see how the Hollywood version looks.
Might I borrow a handkerchief from someone? You, madam. Thank you. Be patient.
Okay, so far we have few things we can comment here. And as we could see now in the movie, it's introducing this magician known as Eisenheim with this illusion of making two black gloves turn into ravens. Even though this is CGI, this illusion exists and it looks exactly the same. If you would like to see how it looks in real life, I would definitely recommend you to watch Lance Barton Dove Act, which is beautiful. It's available on YouTube, and from my point of view, is one of the best examples, if not the best, of a manipulation slash Dove Act you can see. Of course, this has nothing to do with the illusion itself, but in case you were wondering if what you were seeing is just some Hollywood making unrealistic visual things in CGI or real magic, there's definitely something you can see real life if you go to this type of shows. So getting now into the marvelous orange tree illusion, what we could see in the movie does not differ much from the original description that we can find in Robert-Houdin's book, Confessions of a Conjurer. The magician starts by borrowing a handkerchief that at that time it was very common for everybody to have a handkerchief with them. So it was probably a very regular item to be used in any effect or being involved. It's probably the similar of when magicians are asking for a phone, for a watch, or other items that we all carry with us commonly nowadays. So far, except for the box, the illusion starts as it should in the original. But let's see how it evolves and how far it's getting the more we are watching. Let's see.
I would like to continue with an examination of time. From the moment we enter this life, we are in the flow of it. We measure it and we mark it. We cannot defy it. We cannot even speed it up or slow it down. Have we not each experienced the sensation that a beautiful moment seemed to pass too quickly and wished that we could make it linger?
That's beautiful.
Or felt time slow on a dull day?
Okay, well, here there's a lot of things to comment here. Of course, right now we're getting very far from what the original version looks like, but there's so many elements, techniques and disciplines that are combined here in such a nice way that I want to break down for you so we can understand and see where all these things are coming from. So getting the original version aside, what we're seeing now is Eisenheim making an orange appear. The way to get the orange appear is extremely simple, just by having it in his hand. But because he trained his body language to make it so natural to hold an orange in his hand without you perceiving that he's holding something, this is why it makes it work. And this is very important as magicians, whenever we perform this type of effects that will require you to hide something in your hand, to train your body language, because if you don't have that element, the illusion does not work at all. And I'm so surprised that somebody like him, who's not a magician, prepared himself so well that even fooled me. And believe me, I'm familiar with this type of techniques and moves. Then we could see that he's moving the orange from one side of the hand to the other. And this actually, it's a real move and technique that comes from contact juggling. Then we see other moves that are not from contact juggling, that are more from manipulation, especially with some acts that involve this billiard ball routines or these rubber balls that are very popular, and these are classic, well-known concepts. But amongst all the manipulation he does here, something I remember that got burned into my mind when I saw it was the drop of the orange in slow motion. I don't know what slow motion has with magic that works so well and looks so magical, that whenever I see effects that involve an element moving in slow motion where it should move totally the opposite way, it's something that it captures me for some reason. And I think here, even though it's CGI, it's something that we can see in very popular acts that you could see on FISM or other great magicians performing it. And actually, we currently have a very popular system that is the most convincing way I ever see of an object moving, like if gravity was not affecting it. So if you were in the moon throwing a coin or something like that. So now getting into the original, as the way it's described, there will be already few elements presented into a table. This case will be an egg, a lemon, an orange, and behind it will be the orange tree. Then when the magician borrows the handkerchief, it will just start to make it a little ball that will pretend to make it smaller and smaller and create the illusion that the handkerchief is merging with the egg. So somehow implying that the handkerchief travel inside the egg. Once this happens, then he does the same with the egg that merges or creates the illusion that it merges with the lemon. And finally, the lemon into the orange. So once the orange is, let's say, the only element that the magician has to show, creating all this travel or this transition from the handkerchief to the orange, then he turns the orange into a powder as a result of it, and putting it into a kind of a candle or place where he would just create a lotion or mix it with a liquid that he will ignite just under the orange tree. What he tries to recreate is that he's getting the essence of all the elements that have been merged into a lotion that then will be just ignited under the orange tree. So it's somehow pushing this influence to the orange tree. So far we can see there's a huge difference. If you're curious to imagine how this merging would have looked in real life, the description reminds me a lot of what you could see in Tommy Wonder's Egg Lemon Orange act, which I recommend you to watch. It's on YouTube. It's beautiful and one of the most magical acts you can see. But again, getting into the analysis, so far it's very different, but both work in their way. So let's see how far or how close we get now when we continue.
I assure you, they're quite real.
Okay, well, so here we see that we have some CGI involved, of course, but here there's a very interesting point to make. And actually a question that you probably are having in your mind, because if this movie is recreating what the original looked like, how would it be possible to have something as magical as we can see in the movie close to what people were seeing in real life? Well, the thing is that there's something I haven't tell you, and is that our friend Robert, he was a clockmaker. And what made him so iconic and popular was the fact that he was using his knowledge on clockmaking and was creating automatons. So advanced at that time that they looked like robots, or as they would see it, as real magic. Because there's no batteries or electricity involved. It's just all purely mechanic and analogical. What he was having at the table, that orange tree, was a fake one. It was an orange tree that was an automaton and was designed to create the illusion that real oranges were growing out of it, and then, of course, as we'll see later, make the handkerchief travel and reappear inside of it. So even though this is CGI, what people was experiencing at that time, and considering that that technology was the peak of technology at that time, everything was aligned in such a interesting and genius approach that probably what people was experiencing is exactly what we see here in CGI. So we create this duality that, even though it comes far away from reality, in their experience at that time, of course, at that context, and even though today it will be amazing to see, it was one of the most magical things to ever see live. So keeping in mind the context of the time and how this technology was so advanced in the perceptions of most of the people, this is probably very close to what they were experiencing. Let's continue and see how the effect concludes and how far it goes from the original version.
You, madam, where is your handkerchief?
So here we have the conclusion of the effect, which is these two butterflies bringing the handkerchief of the spectator that magically travel, in this case from the box to the orange strip. And here we're experiencing the same as we were describing before. Of course, in CGI right now looks very realistic, but in the original version, the automaton was designed by the last orange to get open and have these two butterflies coming out from it and carrying with them the handkerchief of the spectator. Of course, again, in this CGI, in the movie version, looks very nice and realistic because it's actually separated from the tree, but in the original one, they were just coming out from the orange. Again, in the context of it, that technology was so advanced and was so realistic, considering all the mechanical sequences and aspects that are making that automaton work, that from the spectator's experience, that's probably what they saw. And this is something that I wish I would have had the chance, with the knowledge at that time and the context of that time, to see it live, because probably it would have been very hard to describe in words what they experienced there. And the problem I have here right now is that we are missing a lot of information on how this handkerchief would have merged into the egg and then to the lemon, to the orange, and travel inside the automaton to then make it appear. Something that I suspect, I think, is that the handkerchief was not the same as the spectator borrowed. Probably it could have been a stage situation where he was borrowing the handkerchief from Stouche, because if I imagine to make a realistic way to make that handkerchief vanish, then create the illusion of merging it to the egg and so on, and somehow making it travel, or making it or setting it up into the automaton in a way that the butterflies will take it out, I think the easiest is to just have already prepared inside the automaton. So even though I don't have the information, I think most likely that was the way it was done originally. We are missing a lot of info, context, but we also have recreations of that effect that you can find on YouTube that I've been showing parts of it on the video that I recommend you to watch and see if you like it, if you think it's kind of like close to what you think the original version is. So the beauty of it remains on the imaginary, to read the original version and try to imagine how it would have feel to be there and see such a great piece of technology without you realizing that actually that was a mechanical automaton. So that was the video. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy going with me to break down this illusion and see all the details and history behind it. I really enjoyed it a lot and I hope you learned. And if so, please don't forget to give me a like. This will help me a lot. And if you like this type of videos, consider subscribing, as I'm not only analyzing and reacting to very famous illusions and magic in the movies, but also uploading tutorials that will definitely help you not only to be a professional magician, but also a good one. So now if you want to keep enjoying these videos with me, I'm letting you hear these super cool videos that I'm sure you will enjoy. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and I hope to see you in the next one.